Good morning, guys. For today's review, I have bought something which is very classical and which has been spinning around the years, a particular brand that has been spinning around the years for quite some time. Which brand is it? I'm not going to take the surprise really long. It's the Royal Enfield RE Continental GT 650. There was a Continental GT which was launched possibly in, I think probably in 2014, and that particular motorcycle was a single cylinder with 535cc, and this is a 650cc, 648cc to be more precise. And this particular motorcycle is first in the Royal Enfield lineup which is made in India. I'll define this motorbike in a layman's term. It's got two cylinders, it's got 650cc, it's got two exhausts, and it's got ABS and a slipper clutch and a lot amount of power and torque. So that is how I explain this in a layman's point of view. But I think that is not enough, right? We need to drill down to the details to really understand that how this thing is. So moving on to the details. So first things first. So you have a speedometer which is kind of in a good point of view, good point of sight, and you have a central a small knob out here which you see here. It's actually to reset your data out here. So if I turn on trip meter, if I turn on the ignition, and if I just change these, you can see that how these parameters, trip A, trip B, then you have the overall kilometers of the bike, which is the odo, and once again trip A, trip B. We have again an RE badge there and ABS indicator. So there is no option to turn on and off the ABS. The ABS is always on. So it's got an RE badge here. It's got sweet shot clip-on handlebars. So I think this is a high beam pass. So you have that at the flick of a finger out here, which is good. And if you want to turn this to permanently high beam and switch back to normal headlamps, you have that option here. You have an indicator, left, right. The switches feel good. I wouldn't say bad, I wouldn't say good, but yeah, a mediocre feel. Okay, and you have the horn, and apparently this is one of the best things because the horn sounds like an ambassador. What do we have on the right? We have an engine kill switch, and we have a self start switch. It's got slipper clutch and it's got 6-speed gear for the first time. Of course, it does not have carburetor. It's a fuel injected motorcycle. It's got a huge disc, a radiator, the Continental GT twin badge, rear disc, and gas charged shocks, spoke tires, and which are Pirelli. So they are tube tires. The reason why, because to have tubeless in spoke is going to be slightly more expensive. RE badge on the foot pegs. It's like the Terminator holding two bazookas in his hand kind of look, or like a cowboy holding two guns around his pockets. You have a single seat as well as you have a double seat. So it's very easy, and just now, right now, I'll show you how to convert a single seat into a double or a double to a single. It's that easy. But only thing is you need to carry around the seat, which is not that comfortable because the double seats are definitely more bigger in size. So if you're thinking about taking it on the go, it's slightly difficult to do so. A small lever behind in this area which you can pull it forward, and as you pull forward, the lock here kind of releases and the seat opens. So I'm going to pull that lever up. And it's that simple for the lever to come out, for the seat to come out. This is the single seat car. With these pins, they go inside of this. Slide it forward, click lock, and it's done. Now, Royal Enfield, what it does is, along with the normal stock motorcycle, it offers a lot of accessories. So this particular motorcycle, I have around 2 accessories which is fit, which is called the fly screen, and that is this element of the motorcycle which is called the fly screen. So I think this comes around 1800 or something. And then you have this, the brake fluid cap, which is also a custom part. Likewise, you have a lot of options. The bar and mirrors, these are not the 650 bar and mirrors, they are the 535, the first Continental GT bar and mirrors, but the other ones you get matte black. And of course, these dust covers are also part of the accessory. So usually they don't have it, This is one amongst those 8 colors that Royal Enfield has to provide in the GT range, and this one is the Black Magic. If we talk about the headlamps and the tail lamps, the lights are pretty much traditional, pretty much conventional. So they are bulbs and they have multiple reflectors inside it. Even the indicators are also pretty much traditional. So I think there is a little bit amount of bushing that is given around here so that it can handle minor hits and misses without cracking the indicator. Likewise, coming to the front, if we have a look at the headlamps, so it's again a multi-reflector lens and a multi-reflector back cover as well. So it's pretty conventional. So I think it's not about the cost, but it's about maintaining the very classic look, because the old motorbikes used to have these kind of headlamps. But in a night test, we will do a night test and we'll see that how good is this as compared to a regular motorcycle. So I think, I still believe that this should be very good, because the reflectivity points you see here, they are very prominent. I'm just going to turn on the ignition right now. So this is the light by default, which is pretty strong. Okay, and I'm going to turn on the high beam just to show you that how far it goes. It's like pretty long. Okay, so when you're considering highway rides and all, it's pretty long this way. See, okay, to the pass. Nevertheless, what I'm trying to tell you here, that car which is there, it should be somewhere close to about 200 meters away from me. So that illumination is pretty good from a stock motorcycle. And right now, because it's shot on the camera, that is why it's not evident, it's not very clear here. But I can see at least close to about 350 to 400 meters ahead of me very clearly in dark pitch conditions. But if not, in a regular headlamp, this is good enough. Looks wise, I agree, it's not that appealing. It's always better to have a clear lens or a projector or even an LED headlamp. But the real question is it practical? Okay, in Indian road scenarios where it's very difficult to find roads with good illumination, these fancy high-tech lights, will they really serve the purpose? Because in Europe and countries of that sort, we have good lit roads. But when we're talking about these kind of Indian scenarios where you have oncoming traffic coming in high beam, will these lights be able to penetrate through them? That is a question that we really need to ask, and that is exactly what you need to consider before buying a motorcycle. Let me just show you how this particular engine sounds. I'm going to turn on the ignition out here. So when you turn on the engine, that's the kind of looks that it gets on the particular motorcycle. People are really attracted to this sound. So if you listen to this bike, I'm not sure how much is it audible in this phone. Trust me guys, in traffic, you just have a feeling that is this a Triumph, a Bonneville, or even a Thruxton, because it kind of has that kind of looks. And with this kind of a pricing, aggressive pricing, like nearly close to 2 lakhs, I don't think there's any other motorcycle that you can have so much of fun with. I think, is it going to be really flickable or is it going to be really heavy? Let's find out. Man, the sound is something really great. Many a times what I felt is when wow, you know, honestly I don't feel like talking because the sound is so good. Okay, we are on the main road, so let's be a little decent. Today is a weekend, that's why there's not much traffic. But however, there's a mall close by and I suspect that it's going to be crowded around there. Though that is not a real scenario because bumper to bumper traffic is completely different. And right now it's getting a little hotter. So things of heating up are in its favor. And now the horn. Wow. Reminds me of an ambassador. In fact, the headlamp also looks like an ambassador. He said, we are running on the Pirellis. So my confidence about yesterday when I was riding this motorcycle, it slightly slipped from the rear wheel. And that's when I realized, and I was carrying a pillion. So that's when I realized that, the Pirellis are not really warm at the first go, but you really need to warm them up so that it can be. But I wouldn't recommend to take such kind of a hasty decisions while riding this kind of bike because it's heavy. And another aspect is that this motorcycle has dual exhaust, which means either side you fall, that hot exhaust is going to come on your legs. Man, I love this. What my point is, I mean, to have such a torquey motorcycle and that can go really fast, but your tires are thin and your tires won't heat up that fast, and you just have 2 brakes, 2 discs. So that's a number that I'm a little scared about, because to stop a 200 kg motorcycle, it should be having at least 2 disc brakes in the front and a possibly wider rear section tire, at least a 150. That would have been really sweet deal. A 150 section tire behind, and here we go again. I'm scared about these guys. Oh, it pulls up. It pulls up really fast. Like I said, I'm scared about corners. I'm just confident about straight, flat straights. The bike is heavy, and I feel the suspension as well is slightly on the stiffer side. Not much of an issue, but maybe during long rides and all, it could be a little bit irritating. That's what I feel. And also the 200 kg kind of adds an advantage, especially when you're on speed, because this weight can easily tackle crosswind, can easily tackle stability of the motorcycle. Sorry. Driving within the city with 200 kgs is exactly what I need to understand. I doubt so, because at slow speeds, flicking around can change the center of gravity very tremendously. So at high speeds, it's alright. But again, one more thing I'm really scared about is I'm always cautious while overtaking from the left, like what I did just now. So right now I'm overtaking from the right. Okay. And if I am overtaking from the left, I'm always cautious because I have an extra exhaust which is on this side, and I always have this feeling that will it scrape? You know, it's maybe a psychological thing, but I still have this fear that will I scrape this car if I go really too close, because the other motorcycles, they don't have an exhaust on the left hand side, so you can take it even more closer, but you always take a little bit distance on the right hand side knowing that there is an exhaust on the right hand side. In this case, it's exhaust on both the sides. Right now I'm in 6th gear and I can feel a little bit of knocking because the speed is at around 40 kilometers per hour. I'm holding the clutch now. It's kind of a little bit knocking, but can I take it from here? I'm a little bit using the assistance of clutch. No, I'm reducing it to 5th. No, 5th is also not working. 4th, yes. At 4th gear, it can go up to 40, but at 5th gear, it struggles a little bit to reach 40. I mean, to run down to 40, and sixth gear is kind of, you can hear the knocking sound, tuck, 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 tuck. So, which is not really good, just to understand, because we talk about torque, and we really need to understand that how torquey the engine is. It's Royal Enfield showroom out here in Baner. And in front of Royal Enfield, you have the Java Perik. Possibly, I would like to test drive this vehicle as well. If you see here, yeah, that's the Royal Enfield showroom up there. So we have Java. Both the competitors are placed very close to each other. You have Javas here. I think that's a 42 and one is a classic. There is a classic behind and you have a Perik here. But overall, and even if I'm talking about the ergonomics, I don't find it really difficult or really reaching, really leaning forward, and no absolute issues for my back as well. So I feel everything is good. Some people say that it's very difficult, especially for the GT. Interceptor, I find the Interceptor a little bit more annoying as compared to the GT. GT suits my taste. I think it's maybe because that I ride a 650 CBR. Maybe my body is accustomed to these kind of motorcycles. But I felt my arms are really stretched out. GT is all about fun, dude. It's about like bringing the child in you. I think it behaves well inside the city as well, because the 200 kg weight, which was my only concern, and the engine heating. Engine heating is there. I wouldn't lie about that. There is engine heating on the motorcycle. And definitely you can't think about riding this motorcycle in the city wearing a shorts and a sandal. Okay, because some people do that for comfort. No arguments on that, but I don't think this would be safe, because occasionally if your knees, if they tend to touch the engine, then I'm sure you're going to have a hell lot of a burn, because the engines are really piping hot. And it's not just the engine, even the exhaust. That is one thing what I've noticed. So if I have to talk about the riding is smooth, and the weight is very well managed when you flick it from left to right and right to left between cars. It's flickable, but with limits. So it's not like the KTM that you can actually flick like the Duke. I wouldn't say just the KTM, but the Duke 390 or any of the Duke for that matter, because it's lightweight and powerful, and it's got a broader tire section. In this case, it's powerful but not lightweight, and you don't have broader tires to stick around. So you have to keep that in mind. Small cornerings are possible, but once again, you should ensure that your Pirellis are heated up for that, else you're definitely going to lose your traction onto the road and going to kiss the ground. These are the few things that I felt in city ride. Now I will take the motorcycle onto the highway. Okay, now this is to understand that how it accelerates and decelerates. Dropping down to third. And then third gear I get the pull. Okay, so I hope you guys have kind of enjoyed the ride, or rather, I hope you guys have enjoyed the review. And I tried to pull in all the details that I could from my point of view. So, if there is anything that I've missed out, you can put in the comment section, and we'll be more than happy to answer to that. See you until the next time, until the next review, and I hope you guys really enjoyed this review. I know this review is about a year late, but better late than never, right? So here we go.